All right, so let's talk about attributes and methods. So we have seen that we can use this dot notation to access functions in library. So we did that. We imported pandas over here as PD. We accessed the read underscore CSV function that is available through pandas, right? So we use dot to access that object or that function that we could then use, okay? So we can use the same approach to access objects or information inside of some data structure object that we create, okay? So when we refer to this idea of an object, what's an object? Well, basically a variable that contains other data or functionality inside of it that it can be exposed to users, okay? So consequently, a data frame, what we have created here, this planes, right? Recall that this is a data frame. This is an object, right? And data frames have specific items available to us, right? Not only does it have the data that we have imported, but it's going to contain some other information that we can access, right? So for example, in the reading, you'll see we can access the shape of our data frame. Okay, so the shape just tells us the dimensions. So the planes data frame has 3,322 rows and it has 9 columns. We could also get information. So information is a very generic function here that will provide us information on each column. We can get the column name. We get the number of non-null, so that just means like how many missing values exist in here, or non-null, so that would be how many non-missing values exist within that particular column. And it gives us the D type. So the D type is just the type of data, right? So here, the year, it's a floating point data type. Seats is an integer. And we can see model is an object. And that just means it's basically a character string is what it is. Okay. So you may have noticed that there's two differences in how we're calling these items here, right? So first of all, we access these items with that dot notation. Our object planes, dot, and then what we want to get out of it. But we see here, we just called a name directly. Or here we called the name and then we followed it with parentheses. Okay, so this is the idea of attributes versus methods. Okay, an attribute is simply a variable that is attached and unique to that object. Okay, so shape here, this is actually an attribute. It is a variable inside of the planes data frame that provides us information that's unique to this planes data frame, right? And so here we have unique dimensions, and this is like an attribute, a variable, information. Actually, it's a tuple. You can tell that by the parentheses on the outside that provides us the shape. Now, when we have these parentheses after the item that we call, that just means this is a function that is built inside of the data frame or inside of the object that we can use to compute certain things, right? So here we have planes.info. When you call that, it's going to run this computation and it's going to generate this information about our data frame. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the idea and the difference between an attribute and a method. Most importantly, we can access both of these items by using the dot notation, but then an attribute is just going to be a variable that's attached to our object, and a method is simply a function that does some computation on our data frame object.